Hello folks, and welcome to Daily Chatter number 11. And if you were wondering about yesterday's video about the drive shaft repair, I just downloaded a GoPro editing application, and I just selected the clips to edit and clicked OK, and it made the video for me. It was that easy. I think it's kind of cool, but it kind of really sucks. And if you really want, I think I could put together a proper video about the clips, because I have pretty good video material about them. I wasn't able to catch all of it on video because I was in a little bit of a hurry, but there is enough for one proper video. So if you really want it, I think I can do it. If I get enough likes in the comments, maybe I can do that. Yeah, so let's see. And an announcement for the end of this video, I will talk about growing and not growing, and moving to the new shop or not moving to the new shop. I got lots of comments and suggestions on that, which I really appreciate. And I think I know now what I'm gonna do, but let's talk about that later. I want to keep the start of the video interesting. So, topic of today is a shop tour and tour of all of my machines. I've got quite a few requests for information on different machines, and I think now that I pretty much have the shop filled with machines, I think it's finally time to show them to you. I will try to keep this pretty quick because I have quite a few machines. But if you want more information, let me know, and I will say a few more words. So, anyways, let's start from where I am now, and this is my newest addition to my shop, which is a lathe model 1M63, and it's a very Soviet-made machine. It's built like a tank. It weighs very much, and it's like way overbuilt, like much of the good old Soviet stuff is. And what's nice about it is that it has very limited use, because it was bought new to a school, and it's barely been used actually. If I cleaned it, it would look pretty nice. But since I got it, I actually haven't even touched it. There's a slight problem in the carriage. I guess there's some kind of a safety pin that's broken. I'll have to take a look at that, but I still haven't found the time. So anyways, about lathe. So the model is 1M63. And if you know the Russian language, you will know much more about this tag than I do. And the year is 1974, and the serial number is 5683. And it was brought new from Georgia, Tbilisi, where it was built. And usually 1M63s are built in Ryazan plant, which is somewhere in Russia. And Stanko import. Yeah, well, most of these are built in Ryazan plant. And they say this is kind of a stripped down model from the Ryazan made lathe. But the only thing that I have found to be missing from this model is the V-way in the back. So there's a flat way in this model, and in the proper model there's a V-way as well in the back as is in the front. And these ways are hard. Somebody asked me a long time ago if these ways are hard. They are hard. I tried it. So basically this is a very sturdy, strong lathe. It has a 13 kilowatt motor, and the spindle speeds go from 10 to 1250 RPM with very many changes, 6x4 changes. And it has a crap load of threads and feeds, everything you will ever need. And even though it's big and sturdy and robust, just like all good Russian machines are, it's very nice to use, because all the feeds are operated by this switch right here. Tiny little electric joystick, and and this is rapid traverse. It's very nice to use. And also what's very special about this lathe that it has power feed in the compound. So by this switch you can switch on the feed. I think it's to switch it from the crossslide to the compound. I used to run this exact same model lathe at work many years ago, but I still don't remember much about it, except that it was a real pleasure to use. It's a very strong and rigid machine. Really like it, and I really wish I had the time to take a look at the problem with the carriage. The problem is that the carriage doesn't move. There's something broken inside. I think it's a safety pin or something like that, and that's actually why they let go of the machine, but I'm sure it's just a very minor issue. As you can see, somebody has crashed this a few times. So this is how you can tell if a lathe has been in school use. Chewed up edge in the compound. Yeah. And let's continue. This is the kind of my main lathe at the moment. It's a TOS trenching made in Czechoslovakia, which well, it was a Soviet Czechoslovakia at the time. And it's a pretty nice machine. I use it almost every day, and this machine also has never been in production use, so it's also in top condition, and it has always had the way covers on, so the ways are almost untouched, just like they are on the crossslide. Yeah, it's a really nice machine with many good features. It has the same swing over bed as the 1M63, 650 millimeters. And by the way, distance between centers is 1,400 millimeters in 1M63. And the distance between centers here is 3 meters or 10 feet. I think it's 120 inches. So it's a pretty long lathe. And it has, this is a lighter, more lightly built than that lathe right there. Actually, this lathe right here weighs quite a bit more than this one, even though this is twice as long. So, well, the speeds go from 10 to 1000 RPM with quite a few changes, and also pretty much any feed you ever need you have in the quick change box. And controls are very simple, as on most Soviet lathes. All the feeds are right here in this four-way switch, and this is not really a pleasure to use. Other than that, it's a very nice machine, but I don't really like the feel of these levers. You really have to use force to operate them. But it's a very accurate machine. It runs pretty smooth, and I really like it. And as I said, it's in very good condition. So, and you can also do some pretty heavy cutting on this. But the bed width and the crossslide width is nowhere near as wide as on this lathe. And also the ribbing and the base casting and everything is much stronger on the 1M63. Not that this is a light machine either. It can take some pretty heavy cutting, and I also have a crane on it, which is a complete must when I have to remove the chuck, for example. And right here I have some tools for it. So some quick change holders and some tools, and boring bars and live centers, and here I also have some more taper tooling. And the motor is right here. It has 4 belts, and the spindle bore is about 3 inches, 75 millimeters about. And I have many chucks for it. I have 2 3-jaws, and I even have a collet chuck for it, which is really nice. It goes from like 10 millimeter to like 70 millimeter. It's a very nice unit. and I have a following rest and this steady rest, and then I have a huge steady rest for it. So, and it also has a grinding attachment right here, and also it has a taper attachment, but I haven't attached it to the lathe. I still have it in the original wooden box, which is nice. And right here is the chuck for the very large forjaw for the TOS lathe, but you can only fit it when you have the gap taken out. So this is unused. It has some surface rust from damp storage, but it would clean to be just perfect. But I think I will never have any use for it. But it's nice to have. Just take a look how huge it is. It's 800 millimeters, I think. So let's continue. And this is a TOS as well. I think it's a TOS Hostivar. So when you talk about TOS machines, TOS is kind of the make, and for example Hostivar here or Trenčín for the lathe is the city. That's where the factory is located. So this is made in Hostivar and that one is made in Trenčín. And by the way, these exact SN model lathes are still produced in Trenčín, and they are under the name Trenč. So you can still get these machines new, and I think it's pretty unchanged until these days. The year of this lathe I think it's from the early 80s. It doesn't have a year tag on it, which is kind of sad. Yeah, let's get back to this. This is one of my project machines. I have never actually done any real work on this. It kind of works, but it has some issues. I wish I had time to check this machine out better, because it really has some potential in it. It's a really old machine. It's made in 1956. 1956. And BUA 20 is the model. Let's see if we can take a look at the ways. Well, a little bit. It's so dark you cannot really see, but I think this machine has had pretty limited use because the scraping marks are still perfectly visible everywhere in the ways. So this should be a pretty good machine. Actually, I'm thinking of maybe sometime converting this to a camshaft grinder. Maybe taking out all the original hydraulics and replacing them with servos or steppers and ball screws to control the table and the grinding wheel axis, so I could grind cams on it. And let's continue. This lathe body right here is my 1K625, which is my second proper machine. I think I was 18 years old when I bought this. Yeah, it's a really nice machine. One of the most useful lathes ever made in the whole world, I think. But as you can see, I still haven't put it back together. It had all its ways completely reground because they were badly worn. But I really want to take the time to put it back together. But the problem is that the carriage is now inserted with some bronze slides, which are machined inaccurately. So I have to fix them. I'm really not happy about the way this machine was rebuilt by the company that I sent it to. I have many videos about this, but now that I'm talking about this, I think if I had known more about the machine itself and machines in general and accuracies and adjustments and everything, I think I wouldn't even have sent it to be rebuilt. I could have adjusted it to be pretty useful again. But if I put it together now, and when I put it together, it's gonna be my favorite lathe easily. It has a 10 kilowatt motor, so it's very powerful. It's more powerful than my TOS SN lathe, and it's pretty heavy. It's very heavily built, and the headstock is great. It's very rigid, and it has very good speed ranges, and it has also any feed that you can ever imagine. So it's just a perfect lathe for its size. I really have to put it back together. I have all the parts for it. I just need to put it back together after a little bit of adjusting. So let's continue. This is my Jackmill J40 tool grinder, which is kind of a temporary solution. I would like to call this a piece of crap, which is it pretty much is. It kind of works. I have done some grinding on it every now and then, and it kind of works, but it still pretty much sucks. I think it would be pretty good if I did some work to it, but I have been able to grind some simple things on it. And I have this nice sine table on it. I just recently bought it to sharpen some wood chipper blades, and that worked okay. At least this table is really nice. I'm not quite sure about the machine. At least the electric motor bearings are done for, and there's much more work to do as well. So let's continue, and this is my shaper. Actually, I cannot recall the make. Just a minute, let me find out. Okay, just a minute. So, it's a Swedish machine. It's a Primo. I still don't know much about this machine, except that it runs pretty much perfectly. I haven't done anything real on it, but I have run it, and it seems to work really well. And I bought it mostly for internal keyways. But you have seen me operate this in one video. I really like it. I wish I had more time to play with it. So, and it's a pretty small machine, but it should be okay for most internal keyways. And it has this angle table, so the seller only used it for internal keyways. And the seller was the same guy that sold me the Dainichi lathe. So let's continue. This is my granite table. It's made by Bendix in the USA, and it's pretty nice. It weighs 930 kilograms, which is over 2,000 pounds. And it's perfectly flat in this area right here. These are not accurate, but this whole back wall is straight, and also the top is straight right here. So I use it very much. Too bad it's also used pretty much for just as a table, which it shouldn't be used as at all. I should be protecting it more, but I never slam anything to it. So yeah, it's very nice for doing measurements. And this is my piece of crap drill press, which I was forced to buy because I don't have a drill press, which is really sad. And I needed it for one job, and I just needed to get one, and I didn't have much money at the moment, so I think this cost me like 79 euros. But it's just a piece of crap. I don't want to talk about this. Don't buy one of those. It kind of makes holes, kind of not. And my bandsaw, which is also made in China, the model you can see right here. And this is actually the second machine that I have ever bought. My first machine was a Chinese little mini lathe. And this was the second machine that I bought. I'm not talking about these when I say real machines. These are just toys. So real machine is something like these ones right here. So anyways, I've had this for like 7 years now, and I have to say it's not that bad for its price and size and weight and everything. It's somewhat okay. But it's just really slow for sawing some thicker stock, and it wasn't many months ago since I completely overhauled this. I changed the bearings in the motor and in the gearbox, and all the seals and everything, and adjusted this idle wheel right here, and now it runs like 10 times better than it was new. So it was adjusted completely wrong from the factory, and the belts now last much longer than originally. I actually have some video material as well from rebuilding this machine. I pretty much caught it all on camera, but I still haven't edited it. So if you want to see it, let me know. I would like to show it to you, but I don't know when I have the time. But if you want to see it, let me know. Anyways, let's go on. Yeah, next one is the Dainichi BX45 CNC lathe, which is one of my most recent purchases, and it's a really nice lathe actually, at least for its price and at least for its age. It was made in Osaka, Japan in 1985, December 1985, so it's a really old CNC machine, and it's still pretty nice. It has the Fanuc 10F, which is a very nice control. I think for its age it's really advanced, and I just really like the control. And the machine itself, well, it has 10 tool positions, and it has a pretty slow tool change, but at least it's working. And a 10-inch Kitagawa chuck, which is really nice actually. Even though it's old as earth, it's still very accurate, amazingly accurate. And it has, of course, power quill in the tailstock, like all CNC machines do. And it's pretty fine, pretty fine machine. It has wear on the crossslide turquoise on the ways, so that's something that I'm gonna have to work with sometime, but for now it's working, it's making good parts. And it also has a chip conveyor which works perfectly, and it has just filled one bin of aluminum chips. I have compressed this little by little by this steel bar, just pounding on it, and it's just solid aluminum pretty much now, and the second barrel is on its way. Yeah, it's a really nice machine. Well, some more about it. I think the motor power was 11 kilowatts continuous and maybe 15 kilowatts peak. So it's more than my electrics can take, just like with the 1M63 lathe, manual lathe. I will never be able to use it with these electrics that I have at the moment. And the spindle speeds go from like 10 to 3200 RPM, which is a pretty good range for a lathe this old, at least. I guess that's enough about that, and then let's go to my favorite lathe at the moment. And this is the only one that I haven't cleaned, or that hasn't been cleaned. It looks very rough, it looks terrible actually, but it's a very, very, very nice machine. I cannot describe in words how much I like this lathe. Even though it's a really old machine, it's dead accurate. It's just amazing how accurate it is, and the kind of cuts that you can take with it, being so small. Actually, this has the same dimensional capacity as my first lathe that I ever bought, which was a Chinese piece of crap toy lathe. So you could fit the same piece in that lathe as you can fit in this lathe, but this lathe weighs like 15 times more than the Chinese piece of crap. So this is just, yeah, you get it. I really love this machine, and I actually bought this from Latvia. I was visiting my friend Factory Dragon 87 in Latvia, and we went to a machine tool seller, and I spotted this lathe right there. I had been looking for a small lathe, and this was exactly the kind that I needed. So we checked it out and I bought it, and we knew that it had bad spindle bearings and also some problems with the gearbox. And I took out the gearbox and rebuilt the spindle, and fixed most of the problems, and it's now working like a champ. And it's, yeah, I could say good things about this lathe all day long. So some basic facts: it has a 3 kilowatt motor, and recently I just installed VFD, variable frequency drive, to it, so it's a real pleasure to use. And the spindle speeds go from like 20 to 2000 RPM, which is a really nice range. And as just like from all real nice Soviet-made lathes, this one has pretty much every feed and thread you can ever imagine. And it's such a pleasure to use. Again, it has this feed lever here, which you can use to operate all feeds. And it has fully supported tailstock wheel, so it goes through the tailstock bore, which is really nice. It has a number 3 Morse, which is really nice. It could be a number 2 in this size lathe, but it has a number 3. And it has this Russian or Eastern European type bayonet chuck fitting or spindle nose. It's okay. I only have one chuck for it. I've been looking for a 4-jaw for a long time, but I still haven't found it. But I also often use a collet chuck on it. So this is a ER40 collet chuck, which I'm using even at the moment. Turning some 20mm cold rolled stock. And the spindle hole is a rather small. It's a 1-inch or a 25mm hole, but it's enough. If I need more, I go to the larger lathe. And I also put a DRO on it. So it's just amazing lathe. And I always keep it very well, even if it looks dirty under the way cover. It's very well oiled and no chips on the ways, just like on the backside right here. You can see how well oiled it is, just like in the backside right here. So even though my machines are dirty or looking dirty, I always keep the ways perfectly clean and oiled, because that's what matters. Okay, let's continue. This is my 6082 SH milling machine made by Stanko. Maybe a Gorsky plant made, maybe. Take a look at the sign. If you know Russian, you know better than me. 6082 SH, made in USSR. And this was one of the last machines made in USSR before it collapsed. So it's made in maybe 1990. And I really like it. It has pretty good wear on the ways, but I mostly use it for production work, doing angles, just like I'm doing at the moment, or I just did. It has a universal spindle which will rotate to all ways, so this way and also this way, and it also has a quill to it. It has very good spindle speeds, a 3 kilowatt motor, really nice, and the horizontal spindle is a 7.5 kilowatt. It has pretty good ranges, and it also has a power drawbar right there, so it's pretty nice, but you rarely use the horizontal spindle these days. But the universal spindle is why I bought this machine. It's really handy for almost any type of milling work. And it has a 40 taper in the universal spindle. And X travel is 800 and the Y and Z are like 400. And it also has a Sony DRO, which is really nice. And all the feeds are operated from here, so no levers, and it's actually working, and it has some pretty nice features. And it even has some very old brains to it, so you can somehow program it from this panel and using these limit switches and these cams. I never tried to run that. Not sure if it works. I don't think it will work. And if I wanted this machine to run really well. I would have to go through it completely. As I said, it's got some good wear on the x-axis. The Y and Z are actually pretty good, but the x-axis is pretty worn. But it's still working for not so accurate work. Well, my hydraulic press, I built this myself as a school project. The only thing that's purchased new is the pump, but the cylinder and everything else is made by myself and my team. Mostly by me, but I also got lots of help for it. So it's been working real nice. It has about 20 tons of force. And let's continue. My TIG welder is right here. It's a Chinese made 250 amp. It's a pretty decent unit, and I built a water cooler for it myself. So I use it, let's say I use it monthly. I really like aluminum welding with TIG. It's fun. And my work table is here by GWS. It's a Finnish company, I think. And all my end mills are right here. Some old and some new. And I also have some tools in here. Some lathe tools and some jigs and everything. Some welding rods and a vise. And this is kind of my main machine that I do maybe most of my work with. Sharing maybe the first place with the Dainichi lathe. This is a Fadal VMC 3016L. So it's a year 1999 CNC milling machine made in the USA. It has a 7,500 RPM spindle, 11 kilowatt motor, and well, it has 30 inches of X travel and 16 inches of Y and 20 inches of Z, or 760 millimeters X and so on in millimeters. It has linear guide rails on every axis, so it's not a rigid machine at all. But it's okay for, it's very good actually for some trochoidal milling that doesn't put much stress on the spindle. And it's good for high feed cutting as well, which directs that cutting forces up and not sideways. I really like this machine. It has 21 tool positions and flood coolant, of course, and it's very accurate. I think it hasn't had a whole lot of use. You can make a round hole with like maximum 2/200 of a millimeter of error with this machine. I think that's pretty good. But also I do some tool steel milling on this pretty frequently as well, and it also handles that pretty well. So I really am happy with this machine. And one of